I'm Gabi Hegerl. I'm a professor for climate system science at the University of Edinburgh. I'm researching climate change. I have been involved quite extensively with the reports of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which are very valuable to inform the COP process. I started becoming interested in climate change when I was a student and a mountain climber in the Alps. So I realized that the glaciers are retreating, and I was interested in it. Ever since I do love glaciers and mountains and ice, and so I'm a bit mourning the loss of the alpine glaciers, for example, which is pretty much inevitable at this point. I love the natural world, and I really want our children to have the same experience of an amazing and very diverse natural world, and I'm worried that climate change is putting this under a lot of pressure. So my work focuses on understanding the causes of past climate change, looking at past extreme events and what happened in response to this. This is really useful to understand if we can predict future climate change realistically, if we can see what's coming, and particularly also to see what we need to avoid. So my work helps to anticipate what is coming and to estimate what kind of climates we get in response to what kind of emissions. And that, on the other hand, then helps us to decide what is acceptable, what can we live with, what can we adapt to, and what must we avoid. In my area is largely in its research programs. There are lots of different areas represented. So I'm looking at past changes in climate. We have people focusing on statistics and evaluating the uncertainties around predictions. We have people focusing on the ocean and learning as much as possible about how the ocean works and what changes it undergoes. So we need a strong research program to understand what has happened in the past and what may happen in response to the climate change as it evolves. The entire planet needs to move to a different way to generate energy, and Scotland is doing a very good job putting that forward. I think we are quite advanced in using alternative energies. We are experimenting even with wave energy. We have a lot of wind energy, and so making this transition is going, I think, quite well. So, for example, when I discuss with my German friends and family, they still say electric cars are a problem because we burn coal to fuel them, and I say we don't do that in Scotland anymore. We are in the moment trying to understand what are the dangers on our path to a climate that no longer changes very fast. So we want to arrive at a future climate without emissions of greenhouse gases that is reasonable, that is safe for humanity, that preserves habitability of coasts and so on. And we are trying to find out what that means. And for my own research, it's particularly what kind of extreme events could we get in the future in a warmer world. What kind of combined droughts and heat waves might we get, and to see what emissions or what concentrations of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, how they link to such changes in extreme events, and what, as a consequence, what do we need to avoid. I would like to see the nations agree on a plan to cut greenhouse gases and stay with as low as possible global warming. So 1.5 degrees is a huge challenge, but even 2 degrees would be much better than the alternatives. And I would like to see the nations not only see this as a threat, but as an opportunity for a more sustainable way to live.